You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Have you ever looked at your paid search spend and realized you are basically paying rent on a house you already own?
Oh, it's brutal.
It is properly frustrating, right? You put all this work into building a brand, earning the trust, getting the word out, and then you have to pay a tech giant a toll just to let people walk through your own front door.
Yeah, it really is the ultimate tax on your own success. You were essentially penalized for being popular.
Exactly. Well, I am your host, the Vocal Technologist, and my goal is always to pull apart the complex systems running modern marketing. And our mission for this exploration is to unpack a massive tension happening. We are caught in this vicious tug of war between extreme automation and the desperate human need for authenticity.
Which is a very hard balance to strike.
Spot on. So we are going to look under the hood of some major industry reports to figure out how you can actually navigate this without losing your mind or, your budget. And to do that, I have brought in the analytical big guns to keep us grounded and explain the mechanics of what is actually happening.
Glad to be here. There's an immense amount of data to get into, but once you start connecting the dots, the underlying patterns of human behavior are incredibly revealing.
Okay, let us unpack this search illusion first, because the data on Google Ads is staggering. Paid search claims a 1,299% return on ad spend for branded keywords.
Right, which sounds amazing on paper.
Yeah, but think about it. That is just someone typing in your exact company name, but it only shows a 68% return for non-branded keywords.
Which is a massive drop.
Huge. Meanwhile, overall ad costs have shot up 30%, and conversion rates, they actually fell by 5.1%. It is like a waiter expecting a massive tip for bringing you food you cooked yourself.
That is a perfect way to put it. What is genuinely fascinating here is the misattribution of intent. The platforms are structurally designed to claim the final click.
Right.
When someone searches for your exact brand name, well, their decision is already made. They did their research somewhere else. The ad platform just happens to be standing at the finish line with a net.
Catching a fish that already jumped into the boat.
Exactly. The real problem is that while companies are pouring massive budgets into defending those branded keywords, they are completely ignoring where the actual discovery phase is taking place.
Right, I hear you. But surely we have to defend our brand terms. If I do not bid on my own name, my biggest competitor is going to buy that keyword, sit right above my organic link, and steal my lunch. That is just the cost of doing business, is it not?
Look, that is the traditional logic, yes. And maybe 5 years ago I would have agreed with you.
Okay.
But the entire architecture of the web is fundamentally shifting. It is moving away from being a giant billboard highway where whoever pays the most gets the most eyeballs.
To what then?
It is turning into a series of private dinner parties. Relying purely on paid search is a trap because you are optimizing for a highway that people are driving on less and less.
Ah, I see.
Both the large language models and human buyers are actively seeking out non-paid, community-vetted validation.
And that desire for unvarnished validation explains the most bizarre search trend we are seeing. Buyers are actively bypassing the traditional front page entirely. Which brings us to Reddit.
Oh, the Reddit data is wild.
It blew my mind. Reddit is now outranking business-to-business software vendors on 50 to 66% of shared keywords.
Yep.
They're capturing over 950,000 monthly searches before a software vendor even appears on the page.
Because buyers are just exhausted by polished marketing copy. They do not want to read a landing page that promises to, synergize their workflows.
Yeah, nobody wants to read that.
Exactly. They want to know what the current users are actively complaining about on a Tuesday afternoon. Reddit provides that unvarnished truth.
Which you cannot really fake.
You cannot. And the crucial mechanism here is that AI search engines are following that exact same behavioral shift. Look at how engines like Perplexity or the newer AI features source their answers.
Where are they getting it from?
Well, 94% of AI citations come from non-paid articles, with 82% coming directly from earned media and journalism.
Wow. So the robots prefer human authority just as much as we do. They are actively ignoring the sponsored links.
Precisely. A large language model is essentially a consensus machine.
Yeah.
It is trained to find credibility through repetition across crusted spaces.
Right.
Which you simply cannot buy with a higher bid strategy. If the community does not validate you, the AI will not recommend you.
So paid acquisition is becoming a bit of a money pit, and community trust is everything. The natural instinct for any stressed out marketer looking at these numbers is to say, well, I need to be everywhere at once. Let us just automate all our content creation to scale up our organic reach.
Which is a very dangerous reflex.
Extremely. Because doing that triggers a massive psychological and operational backlash. Researchers are actually calling it the atrophy paradox.
Yes, this is a brilliant concept borrowed directly from aviation safety research.
Aviation. Okay, break that down for me.
So decades ago, studies found that an over-reliance on highly automated flight systems actually weakened a pilot's manual flying skills.
Wait, really?
Yeah. When the autopilot handled everything, the pilots lost their situational awareness. Their cognitive map of what the plane was actually doing degraded over time.
Which, yeah, is exactly as terrifying as it sounds when you are sitting in row 12.
It is. And it is a critical warning for knowledge workers. In marketing, heavy AI use erodes your cognitive engagement. It literally weakens your writing skills and your deep domain expertise.
It's like losing muscle mass.
Exactly. Think about the mechanics of writing a creative brief. The struggle of putting thoughts into words is what forces you to identify the gaps in your own logic.
Right. If it is hard to write, the strategy is probably flawed.
Exactly. If you outsource that struggle to a machine, you do not just get a generic brief.
Yeah.
You actually lose the neurological ability to spot a bad brief. Your strategic thinking muscle literally wastes away from lack of use.
I use this analogy all the time. Relying entirely on AI for your core strategy is like letting cruise control steer your car through a roundabout.
That is a great way to visualize it.
Right, like it might hold the speed for a second, but you are going to crash into something very quickly because it lacks contextual awareness. And the wild part is the consumers can absolutely tell when nobody is steering the car.
Oh, the data on consumer perception is fascinating.
It is. We have data showing that labeling products AI designed drops purchase intent by up to 29%.
That is a significant hit to the bottom line.
And it gets weirder. People perceive 75% less human involvement in the creation process when they see that label. So people literally want to know a human suffered over a spreadsheet to make their product. That is properly weird.
It sounds counterintuitive in an era obsessed with efficiency, sure. But think of the psychological why behind the numbers.
Okay.
Consumers struggle to connect emotionally with products that lack a human creator.
Yeah.
We buy things to signal our identity, right? To tell a story about who we are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, a machine has no identity, no struggle, and no lived experience. You cannot share a story with an algorithm.
But, I mean, you cannot just ignore the tech either. We are not going back to the Stone Age.
No, absolutely not. And the data supports that nuance perfectly. Human-AI collaboration is the actual winner here.
How much of a winner?
Products that are explicitly framed as a collaboration increase purchase intent by 3.5% over fully human designs,
Oh, wow.
and a massive 12.8% over pure AI. The consumer wants the precision of the machine, but they demand the soul of the human. You use the technology for speed, but you rely on the human for the soul.
Spot on. And there is a huge leadership divide happening regarding that exact collaboration. Because 62% of executives say they can conclusively prove AI returns,
Yep.
but only 12% of individual contributors say the same. Why is there such a massive gap between the people managing the budget and the people doing the actual work?
Because they are measuring completely different things. The executives are looking at high-level cost savings and theoretical output metrics.
Dashboards and spreadsheets.
Exactly. But the individual contributors are dealing with the mechanical reality of workflow chaos. They are the ones navigating strict governance delays, endless prompting errors, hallucinated facts.
And just the incredibly messy integration of brand new tools into the legacy software system.
Precisely. The executive sees a streamlined dashboard, while the worker sees an absolute mess of broken formatting.
Okay, so pure automation fails.
Yep.
People crave genuine human authenticity, and your ground team is probably overwhelmed just trying to make the tools work. So how do modern brands actually scale that genuine connection?
It requires a very specific operational shift.
Because, let us be brutally honest, modern virality and authenticity are highly engineered. They do not just happen by accident. Take a creator like Braden Peters.
Ah, yes. The volume play.
He generated over 1 billion views in a single month, using 34,667 videos.
And how exactly did he manage that sheer volume of output without triggering algorithmic spam filters?
Well, he used 645 human clippers. Hang on, let me just pause on that. 1 billion views, from 645 people manually clipping his videos and posting them. That is not organic reach. That is a digital sweatshop.
I know it sounds intense.
How does TikTok or YouTube not just immediately ban all those accounts for duplicate content?
Your skepticism is entirely warranted, but the mechanics of how it works prove a fundamental point about the modern internet.
Yeah.
They are not posting to one central account.
Right.
They are creating hundreds of decentralized hyper-niche burner accounts. It bypasses the spam filters because the content is distributed natively across completely separate nodes.
That is incredibly sneaky.
It is highly effective. Virality is no longer about catching lightning in a bottle through one lucky post. It is about building a highly engineered lightning rod factory. Clipping acts as a distributed paid distribution engine disguised as organic reach.
But surely that just turns your brand into absolute chaos.
Precisely. There is a massive operational danger here. Extreme volume creates severely fragmented messaging.
Because everyone is just taking little out-of-context bites.
Exactly. If 600 people are clipping your words out of context, you lose control of what you actually stand for. It weakens the brand identity. You must balance that extreme output with a deeply consistent, grounded narrative.
So if you want the momentum without the chaos, you need a different playbook. Look at a brand that engineers momentum incredibly well without losing their soul. Fishwife?
A great example.
They sell tinned fish, sardines, and mackerel. That does not exactly sound like a viral powerhouse.
Not traditionally, no.
But their operational strategy is brilliant. They dedicate 75% of their marketing manager's time entirely to planning newness. They engineer at least one major product announcement or collaboration every single month.
What is crucial about their approach is that they rely heavily on their existing community rather than chasing random disconnected influencers.
Right. They know who their people are.
Exactly. When the organic health trend around tinned sardines took off on social media, Fishwife did not have to pivot or invent a new persona. They were already perfectly positioned to ride that wave.
And as a result, they tripled their retail velocities. They engineered massive momentum by leaning entirely into what their audience already cared about.
Which brings up the next question. How do you figure out what they actually care about without just guessing or looking at generic search volumes?
Eavesdropping.
Yes.
Instead of doing traditional keyword research, which we already established is becoming a bit of a trap, the smartest teams are mining entirely different data.
They're going straight to the source.
Exactly. They are extracting verbatim pains and objections from customer support data, sales call transcripts, and private community conversations. They're literally reading Zendesk tickets to find the exact phrasing customers use when they are frustrated.
This raises a massive operational hurdle, though. Think about the sheer speed required to execute that.
It sounds exhausting.
It is. Pumping out all this engineered momentum, coordinating monthly physical product drops, mining thousands of support tickets for language, you simply cannot operate at this high speed if your internal house is a mess.
Spot on. You need absolute structural sanity. If your team is hunting through 6 different Google Drive folders to find the latest copy document, you are dead in the water.
Which is why we are seeing a structural shift.
Yeah, which is why some cutting-edge marketing teams are literally moving their entire operations to GitHub. Now look, I have to push back on this a bit.
Up for it.
Marketers learning version control just to send a campaign email? I mean, I can barely get my team to use the right naming conventions on a PDF. This sounds like absolute overkill.
It does sound extreme, I will grant you that. But let us look at the mechanics of why they are doing it. It is not just about file storage.
Okay, what is it about?
Centralizing work in code repositories instead of scattered cloud documents completely changes how artificial intelligence interacts with your business. It allows advanced AI tools, like Claude Code, to analyze your entire business context instantly.
So it reads everything at once.
Exactly. When a large language model looks at a repository, it sees the exact relationship between your brand guidelines, your past campaigns, and your current drafts all at once.
Oh, that makes sense.
Teams that have made this structural leap are reporting output speed improvements of up to 10 times.
10 times?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the AI does not need to be repeatedly briefed. It already knows the entire architecture of the brand.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It is not just how we store the files, it is how we write the content itself. We have to talk about utility writing for machines.
This is a crucial skill.
I was reading this piece of data that honestly made me rethink how I type. It showed that 99% of our sentences fail to stand alone without surrounding context.
Yeah.
If you strip away the paragraph around it, the sentence makes 0 sense. And systems like Gemini only use about 15.5% of the content on a given page anyway. They just skim for the hard facts.
Exactly. When a large language model reads your website, it is not reading for pleasure or flow. It is looking for explicit, unquestionable relationships.
So you have to spell it out.
Yes, you have to embed structure into your writing using named entities so machines can quote you directly without guessing.
Wait, break down named entities for me. What does that actually look like in practice?
Okay, so instead of writing a conversational paragraph that says, our founder, Sarah, loves working with small businesses.
Which sounds nice to a human.
Right. But for the machine, you structure the underlying code or text so the AI explicitly sees the metadata tags. It sees entity, founder, name, Sarah, target market,
Yeah.
small businesses.
Ah, I see.
You are explicitly labeling the nouns and verbs so the machine does not have to interpret your poetry.
I always think of it like packing your luggage in those clear plastic bags before you go through airport security.
That is a brilliant analogy.
Right. You want to make it ridiculously easy for the TSA scanner to see exactly what you have without making them pull your entire suitcase apart. Do not make the machine work to understand your value.
That is a perfect way to visualize the mechanism. The LLM is essentially that TSA scanner. It just wants to read the label.
Exactly.
And here is the true payoff for all this technical work. By organizing your data perfectly for machines, using tools like GitHub and utility writing, you drastically reduce your team's operational friction.
You buy yourself time.
Precisely. You free up the mental bandwidth and the time required to design deeply flexible, empathetic systems for the actual humans using your product.
Empathy in system design. So if the machines get the clear plastic bags, what do the humans get? That brings up Elena Verna's human-centric retention tactics.
Her work is phenomenal.
It really is. She looked at why people cancel software subscriptions, and she found that simply offering a $5 light plan captured 10% of churn attempts.
Because people did not actually want to leave the product.
Right. People wanted to leave because the full price was hurting them financially, and instead of trapping them or, guilt-tripping them through a confusing menu, she gave them a dignified way to stay connected to the brand.
And she took it further with the structural mechanics of payment failures.
What does she do there?
Setting up highly visible in-product alerts for failed payments lifted revenue recovery by 50%.
50% just from a clear alert.
Yes. And adding simple top-up options improved overall retention by 7%. These sound like technical structural tactics, but they are fundamentally rooted in understanding the user's immediate financial reality.
They prioritize empathy over rigid, punishing subscription rules.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean when we put the pieces together? Ultimately, all these automated workflows we have discussed, the GitHub repositories, the utility writing for the LLMs, the highly engineered retention tactics, none of it works if the people running the systems lack genuine empathy and consistency.
The structural tools simply amplify the human core of the brand. If your core team lacks judgment, the automation just scales your mistakes.
It is a multiplier.
Right. If the core is hollow, you just scale emptiness faster.
Which is why the data on working parents in the marketing industry is so vital to this entire conversation, and honestly a bit tragic.
It is a massive oversight by the industry.
83% of mothers report massively improved multitasking skills after having children, and 70% of fathers cite significantly increased empathy.
Those are invaluable skills.
They are the exact human judgment skills, the ability to juggle chaos and intuitively understand another person's needs that are required to prevent that AI atrophy paradox we discussed earlier.
Yet the industry often completely fails to value those specific life skills.
Yeah, the data shows 45% of working mothers say their career progression has been negatively impacted by a lack of flexibility. Companies are risking losing their most brilliant, empathetic leaders by failing to accommodate the structural reality of being a parent.
And when you lose that mature, grounded judgment in your senior ranks, you see brands make terrible, panicked decisions.
Which leads me to ask, why do leaders always default to blowing up their brand identity when the market gets tough?
Because visible change signals action to the board.
Oh, right, politics.
Exactly. When revenue dips or a new competitor emerges, a chief marketing officer or CEO feels immense pressure to show they are doing something. Completely rebranding, changing the logo, or rewriting the mission statement feels like doing something.
But it is a dangerous trap.
It is. Look at a legacy brand like Burberry. They spent years constantly reinventing themselves, chasing different demographics, and in the process, they severely diluted their core identity.
Consumers simply lost track of what the brand actually stood for.
Exactly. Now compare that frantic energy to Uniqlo.
Ah,
They
yeah.
have succeeded globally by evolving around one extremely clear, deeply consistent idea: lifewear. High-quality, accessible basics.
They do not chase every single fleeting internet trend to rewrite their entire DNA. They protect their core at all costs.
Because true resilience in business comes from consistency, not constant reinvention. The life skills that working parents bring to a team, that extreme time management, the heightened empathy, the ability to stay completely calm amidst absolute
The
chaos.
soft skills.
Right. Those are the exact traits that build a consistent brand. They are the traits that allow a team to implement automation responsibly without losing their soul or panicking when the metrics fluctuate.
Okay, let us bring this all home. Surviving the modern tech gauntlet is clearly less about out-robot the robots. It is really about fiercely protecting your human judgment.
Absolutely.
You organize your data into neat little clear plastic bags for the machines. You automate the routine reporting tasks so your team can breathe. But you keep your human hands firmly on the steering wheel of the strategy.
Exactly. You can build the highly efficient lightning rod factory to capture attention, but you must make absolutely sure the energy generated is powering a house that people actually want to live in.
Beautifully put. I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you look at your own workflows. If an algorithm analyzed your last 50 outputs, the campaign emails, the strategy documents, the Slack messages to your team, right, would it find a consistent human heartbeat? Or would it just see a machine frantically trying to please another machine? If you want to keep exploring the fascinating intersection of tech and human nature, the vocal technologist will always be here to help you pull it all apart. Catch you next time.
Spoken Tech for your ears.